Hello, welcome to Video Mania 2. I'm the dude manning the counter, Duncan, and today we're going to talk about another sci-fi kind of horror movie. This one is called Hallow Man from 2000, starring Kevin Bacon and Elizabeth Shue. It also stars Josh Brolin, who does a lot of genre stuff. Obviously, Thanos from the MCU, he played him. Now, Hollow Man's about a guy. Kevin Bacon plays this arrogant, egotistical scientist named Sebastian Cain. And he is a genius, but he's also, eccentric and over the top, and he's not the greatest guy in the world. But he's obviously a brilliant scientist. So the military contracted him to create a formula that can render people invisible. And he works in a lab, and Elizabeth Shue plays a scientist, and she's his ex-girlfriend, and now she's dating Josh Brolin's character. So they're together, but they're hiding it from Sebastian because they know that's not going to go over well. So, it starts out with the military. They're funding the research, and they've been testing it on animals, and they're successfully able to turn them invisible. And he finally, one night out of the blue, he cracked what they call reversion. He's able to figured out a formula to bring it back. So they bring in a gorilla, and they bring the gorilla back. And so it was successful. And so he goes to the military, back to the Pentagon, but he lies to them and says, we're having trouble bringing him back. And the reason he lies is because he wants to test the formula on himself, because his ego is so huge that he needs to be the first person to do it, and even without testing on humans, he's just like, I'm going to go through with it. We brought the, gorilla back so we can bring myself back. But then some things go wrong. He goes out, has a little bit of fun, he's invisible, and he's trapped in the lab. And a mixture of being invisible and, being trapped in the lab, and with his eccentric personality and, all the narcissistic behaviors he already did, he begins to snap. And what first used to be he was just kind of an asshole, now he's starting to become dangerous. And he eventually, when the other people can't figure out how to bring him back, he gets crazier and crazier. And Kevin Bacon, I remember he said when he played Sebastian Cain, he was walking around in this green suit and even had this green mouthpiece and, all the time just covered in all this stuff, so they could digitally take him out later. And he said it wasn't hard to get into the character of Sebastian Cain because the suit was making him crazy. So, it wasn't too hard. So he did say, that was a challenge. Now, Elizabeth Shue here is great. Josh Brolin's great too. And there's some other researchers there that are in this top secret facility. But as Sebastian Cain goes crazy, so do different scenarios. And he starts to turn on them. And he leaves the lab. So that's where the chaos ensues. This movie starts out kind of a sci-fi movie, but when Sebastian Cain snaps, it turns kind of into a slasher, more or less. And this movie, I forgot to mention, was directed by Paul Verhoeven, who did RoboCop, Starship Troopers, Basic Instinct, among other movies. So subtlety is not what he does if you've seen those movies. It is in your face, and it's pretty... It gets crazy, and, his style has always done that. So if you've seen those movies, I'm talking about, anything he's directed. It's just like blood splatter, just it gets pretty crazy. So that's what happens here, and overall, it's a lot of fun. I remember I saw it in the theater. I was like, okay, that was pretty fun. I wasn't expecting it to go into the slasher mode, but it more or less does here. The effects are pretty good. It's 21 years ago. Wow. So, some things have evolved since then. But overall, they hold up pretty well. The music is very good and eerie. And then Kevin Bacon is excellent. he plays this perfectly. Of course, Kevin Bacon, there's never really a bad performance from him. And Elizabeth Shue, she goes into she's quite a resourceful person herself. So, it's pretty good. She's kind of a scream queen, but, a little more resourceful. So it's overall a lot of fun. So let me know in the comments what you think of it. Are you willing to take a look at it? Any of those things. So I will be back tomorrow with another horror movie, and I hope everybody's doing great and having a good Halloween season so far. Take care until next time.